It's time for the North Idaho Prepcast on IdahoSports.com.
That's right. Welcome in. It is another edition of the North Idaho Prepcast on IdahoSports.com, where we are breaking down the biggest stories week in, week out in Districts 1 and 2, North Idaho. That's why it's called the North Idaho Prepcast, but you knew that already. It is brought to you by No Vape, Idaho Public Television's campaign to raise awareness about the dangers of youth vaping. Be smart, don't start. Let's start by bringing in our North Idaho resident and expert, Ryan Scaggs. What's up, Scaggs?
What's going on? Bronco game day, baby. Let's go. NCAA tournament starts tonight.
That's right. You know, I just got done doing the Treasure Valley Prepcast, our District 3 Prepcast we do every week with Logan Green, and he had all of his NC State apparel on.
I was going to say, I'm sure he was a pleasure to talk to about all things NC State.
How does it feel to know that they made the tournament proper and BSU is relegated to a play-in game?
It's frustrating. I can go off on a massive tangent right now about the NCAA tournament selection committee, but a lot of the pundits and talking heads have already done that. So I'll just relegate everything to them because I think Boise got absolutely robbed. But I think Colorado State got screwed over too, and Nevada and everybody else in the Mountain West. So except for San Diego State. But yeah, no, I'm not bitter or nothing. Don't worry about it.
Two things I learned from the committee. One, they didn't think much of the Mountain West this year. And two, they really thought a lot of Virginia this year, which, hey, I know we got one of our own playing for the Cavs, right? Blake Buchanan from Lake City High. And he got some serious floor time last night, but man, that was
worked. But so did our boy Jack Payne. And yeah, he came out on top last night. But I mean, good for Blake. I mean, I'm glad he's getting some playing time as a freshman. He's going to be a special player at Virginia, especially with Coach Bennett. But, man, Virginia was just absolutely outclassed last night in that game. Holy cow. It wasn't even close.
Yeah, they were at 14 points at halftime, and they went almost a full hour on the clock in real time between scoring. It was like 50 minutes. It was bad. It was bad. And so, yeah, good luck to BSU tonight. They're going to play Colorado in the first 4 game. And then, we're also Big Sky Conference fans. Scaggs, right? I'm a University of Montana fan. We've got the Idaho Vandals up here in North Idaho. We all have to be cheering. I'm fighting the urge, but I'm going to cheer for Montana State tonight. Only because if they win, Big Sky Conference gets some serious
coin. Yeah.
Serious dough.
It's like a $13 million share or something like that. I can't remember the exact number, but it gets split between all the conference members. But yeah, no, the Cats could get a big win tonight for the conference. That's for sure.
Yeah. We'll see. It is. I'm trying to see here what the Big Sky would get for a win. If I find it, I will let you know. Okay. But last week, we also had Ryan last weekend up in North Idaho, the 21st annual Idaho statewide all-star basketball games up at North Idaho College. A lot of fun. We saw some incredible performances. We saw a Division I commitment the night before the games. Sophia Zufelt from Lake City, congratulations. D1 player headed to the University of Texas, Rio Grande Valley, the Vaqueros down there. And I'm not sure what conference they play in because
probably
it changes.
Southland would be my guess, but I would say they're probably with like Sam Houston State and a few of those teams down in that area, but I could be wrong.
UTRGV. So we have Sophia Zufelt going D1, Avery Waddington, of course, going to Montana, Tegan Colvin to UNLV from Coeur d'Alene High. She was not able to play. She was in a walking boot. I guess she injured her foot at state, actually, and toughed through it. Helped Coeur d'Alene win the championship and now is getting it healed up. But she was there as an assistant coach, helping lead coach Nicole Simmons from Coeur d'Alene High to a win in the girls game. And then we saw some incredible near misses from Lapway's Case Why Not on the boys' side. His team lost in the All-Star game. He lost in the finals of the dunk contest to Ty Brown from Teton, and he lost in the finals of the three-point shootout to Sid Rodriguez of Hawaii. He came so close, but the fact that he was able to make the finals of all three of those events says, what a singular talent he is.
Well, and the thing about, the three-point contest, for example, you take his three-point totals from all three rounds, it was bananas numbers. In the semifinals, he hit 30 of 32 three-pointers in a minute. Like, who does that? Like, it was something to behold watching him shoot the basketball in that semifinal round. But, it was funny, like being there with you and Paul and Logan, and we kind of all got to have the front row seats to it. But Riley had the Sid from Snake River called the winner. She's like, Sid's going to win this. And sure enough, Sid did. And that was pretty cool to see. She's going to play at Seattle U, and she's playing at the D1 level also from District 3. And but what a great event, man. It was cool. And the one thing that stood out about that, and I was going to say it on Twitter, but, all the kids that we talked to, and they perform at such a high level, and so many of them were either state champions or state runners-up or trophy winners and respective, like, league players of the year and everything. The one thing that was overwhelmingly in common with all of them is they were all humble. Like, they were just the most humble, like, down-to-earth, great kids. And they were, they had a lot of love and respect for their teammates, a ton of love and respect for their families. They wouldn't be in the position they were without the families that were there supporting them. And that was the thing that just stood out to me, was how awesome everyone there was. Like, and you got to see personalities, and the kids kind of come into their own. It's one thing watching them play in the state tournament where the pressure's on them and they kind of got to be, reserved. And then we get to see them in an environment where they get to relax a little bit. And then talking to mom and dad and stuff in the crowd and everything too. It was just a fun event and a chance to really see those kids shine in an element when there wasn't a lot of pressure.
Yeah, some of the athletes had played in the District 1 All-Star game the night before. Logan Orchard from Coeur d'Alene and Avery Waddington from Lake City. And Orchard balled out. Gunnar Larson from Coeur d'Alene balled out. Ty Kep from Kendrick was in a baseball game the night before against St. Mary's and played in that, and then came up Saturday to participate. Elias Yearout led his team in scoring. Case Why Not was right behind him, so the Lapway duo played really well. I got to meet at the end of the game Jackson Bowles' mom from Potlatch, and she was so nice, and just thanked IdahoSports.com for everything we do throughout the year for the kids. And she said she summed it up really well. She said, I was talking to Jackson about this, and she said basically these kids come from all over the state, and you think, I'm never going to see these people again, I'm never going to cross paths. She goes, a lot of these are going to be like coaches. They're going to be coaching the next generation, and they are going to be crossing paths again. They don't know it yet, but they are. And I was like, that's actually a cool way to think about it.
No, it is. And I mean, you look at just the level of IQ, and, a lot of those kids are going to become, successful at the next level. They'll be bosses of their own, or, principals of a school, or, like you said, coaches or athletic directors or whatever it may be. But all of them, they all had like hard work in common too. And they all respected that. It was really neat to see, like, was it Rihanna Iverson from Council, get the respect that she was getting from players from like Snake River and players from Owyhee and Coeur d'Alene. And it was like, the small school kids that, showed up and showed out too. And, Case gets a lot of talk about him, but then you get to see him in person. And some of the other guys, like Ty Brown, goes, I've heard a lot about Case, but I haven't necessarily watched him play in person. And it's like, the wow factor and stuff like that. It was pretty cool to just, hear them tell stories about each other. And, I talked to Russell Gibson from Eagle, and he was roommates with Liam. And that was pretty cool that he's like, I got to be a roommate with our rival. But then, like, they're trading Snapchat info and all that stuff so they can keep in touch. And, they're all like connected with each other now and stuff too. And like you said, I mean, it's going to be, an event like that, it kind of transcends time. That it's not just going to be this one fragment. They're going to be able to be in contact as things move forward and progress in life.
Yeah, and you were our roving sideline report. We basically gave you the mic and said, go talk to whoever you want, whenever you want. And you talked to players and coaches and parents. Even you talked to Avery Waddington's parents, and we found out that they were in Atlanta one time for an AAU tournament. And what happened with the story there?
They couldn't get a rental vehicle, so Avery's dad had the genius idea to call U-Haul. And they rented a U-Haul pickup truck and drove it around Atlanta for the week because it was only like $19 a day. I thought that's like transcendent genius level right there. Like that's like going outside of. I'm like, man, that's not a bad idea if I'm thinking about it. If I'm going to go on vacation somewhere, I might as well just get the U-Haul pickup instead of or call Home Depot or something like that.
It was that's a life hack that I am gonna file away for sure, courtesy of the Waddington family. That was awesome. And then also you were talking to Maddie Mitchell's dad, and boy, if looks could kill, she was sitting over on the bench while you were doing that interview, like, what are they up to? I can't believe this. It was funny.
Kind of a funny story with like Avery and Maddie and Ty and stuff was that I was planting seeds that like, oh, I'm going to go talk to your mom and dad. I just like walked into one of the huddles like at a timeout and I was like, whose parents most likely to embarrass them? And, Maddie got sold out like instantaneously. It was like Tegan and everybody else that were in that huddle was like, oh yeah, you got to go talk to Maddie's dad. And Maddie just like stands up and looks at me and I'm like, oh man. And then she's like, why are you going to talk to him? And I'm like, oh, no reason. It's just the internet. It's not forever. And, so she sits back down, and that was when you saw her just giving me daggers for like a solid quarter. And after I talked to her dad, who was awesome, I just like walked past her. I'm like, man, he let you have it. Oh man, some of those stories, I can't believe that happened. And she's like, what? And I just let it sit with that for like a good solid quarter and a half until afterwards. And I'm like, no, your dad was great. Vance didn't sell you out very badly. So.
Yeah, it was funny. It was a great weekend. You can go back and watch all of the hoopla from the weekend that was at the 21st annual statewide all-star basketball games at IdahoSports.com. Okay, we were asking about if Montana State wins tonight in their first 4 play-in game of the NCAA tournament, how much money would the Big Sky Conference get? Sean Kane, our East Idaho Prepcaster, I got to assume Sean lifted this from an article somewhere. So if you want to tell me where you got that from so I can give the proper attribution, Sean. But here's what he said. If the Bobcats win on Wednesday, they would then acquire another unit for the league. I guess wins are units worth around $2 million and paid out over 6 years by virtue of making it to a second tournament game. Montana State for the first year of distribution, roughly $165,000. And then the other 9 basketball playing schools plus the conference would divide the other half among themselves. Big Sky would get roughly $330,000 of that unit in the first year. And then over the subsequent 5 years, distribution would be split evenly between all 10 schools and the league. So really, like if you're Idaho, right, the Vandals, you're probably looking at like what, $60,000 by the time it's all said and done. I mean, I'm not a mathematician.
And a couple of road trips, but yeah.
Hey, it's better than nothing, right?
Yeah. Well, and I may have been confusing because I know that the Mountain West numbers last year with the math with San Diego State making the Final Four was roughly equated to making like a New Year's Six bowl game. And, it brought the conference a ton of money per school, which was great. They didn't get any extra, obviously, for making the championship game. But, so maybe I had the inflated number. So thank you, Sean, for correcting me. But, I mean, it's free money. But
if each unit is roughly $2 million and they won 5 games to get to the championship, you're looking at $10 million. I mean, that's pretty crazy. Sean got that from MontanaSports.com. That's our, like, how some places have sister cities. That's our sister site, right? MontanaSports.com and IdahoSports.com. Actually, MontanaSports.com is a great website. It's a lot of the newspapers and TV stations. They all kind of collaborate together on this site, MontanaSports.com. So anyways, yeah, that's all you ever wanted to know about how much does a win in the NCAA tournament get you. And again, a lot on the line for the Big Sky Conference tonight.
I mean, it was only a $26.4 billion TV deal that the NCAA got. I mean, it's just a drop in the bucket out of all that money, but yeah,
Right. Well, you got to pay all those, admin salaries and, so we see that up here in North Idaho with certain things, right? Those hefty admin salaries and all that good stuff. So anyways, let's move on. If you're from Idaho and between 13 and 18 years old, enter the No Vape video contest to expose the shadowy commercial tobacco marketing tactics behind vaping. Just create and upload your 90-second vape bashing masterpiece, and you could win a portion of the more than $10,000 in prize money being awarded. Deadline to enter is April 1st. Winners will be announced May 1st. Raise your voice about the dangers of vaping and win big cash prizes from No Vape Idaho. KNOW, No Vape Idaho. More details on your favorite web browser. Just type in No Vape Idaho, or also we've got links on our website, IdahoSports.com. All right, spring sports season is upon us, Sean. Track and field, tennis, baseball, softball off and running. Golf horses are still in the barn, but they'll soon be released too. Where do you want to start? I'll give you the board.
Yeah, I mean, did you just call me Sean?
Oh, geez. I think I did. I'm looking over here. Over here at the comments.
Just bring Sean on the Prepcast. It's about time that we just have a show together and go around the horn style. But no, we can start. Let's start baseball, because I think that's where we've had the most action so far.
Yeah, let's start baseball. Last night, White Pine League. Oh, baby. In a lot of people's minds, the top four teams met. You had a rematch of the 1A state championship game from a year ago, Troy and Clearwater Valley. Trojans pick up a 3-1 win there. And then you had Potlatch and Kendrick. Kendrick famously missed out on state last year, were squeezed out of that final spot. Potlatch did get to state, made the state semifinals. But last night, Kendrick gets the walk-off win, 4-3 in the bottom of the seventh, thanks to a game-winning RBI double from Ty Kep. Who else?
What doesn't he do? But yeah, no, and I just look at this conference again. I mean, it's the premier, 1A baseball conference. It has been for a while now, but realistically, you could see with the bids. I mean, I know that state moves down south and east this year, I believe, for 1A, so they're not going to get some home cooking in Lewiston this year. But if you look at the lineups of the teams, I mean, it's kind of a grab bag. It's a who's who, kind of like last year with, we all kind of had our prognostications of who we thought was going to win state baseball last year. And, Troy comes out of, I think they were third last year at the district tournament, and they end up winning state, if I'm not mistaken. So, I mean, we could realistically see the same scenario. It's who gets hot right at the end of the season. But for the start of this year and having the games that we're already getting, I mean, that's just a testament to the strength of the conference. It's so brutally tough this year. We may see like a 5th or 6th place team punch their ticket to state this year coming out of the league. I mean, that's how deep this conference is if you look at it top to bottom.
Yeah, if you look, there is kind of, I would say, a big five, right? Clearwater Valley, Troy, Potlatch, Prairie. Those were the four teams that got to state last year. I'd throw Kendrick in that conversation. Yep. And then maybe a tier below that, I would say Genesee. The Bulldogs are off to a 3-1 start. They're 2-0 in the league. The 2 wins came over Nez Perce, and that's what I would say is tier 3, maybe is Lapway and Nez Perce. And they're trying to just develop as the season goes along, and maybe they can start punching up as we get to the end of the year. But man, the top 5 or 6 is going to be fantastic to watch. And Prairie and Clearwater Valley will be back in action this weekend, Ryan, for the annual South Fork Slugfest. It's a tournament hosted by Clearwater Valley. There's going to be some teams from Washington, Bandon, Oregon is coming over. North Star Charter from the Boise area is coming up. It's going to be a really fun baseball tournament this weekend in Kuski.
Yeah, I hope that they're able to get it in with the possible pending weather situation, with rain in the forecast. But, I don't want to say the dreaded R word with spring sports, but, that tends to happen. We've been pretty lucky this week. Let's put it that way. Weather's been absolutely incredible. But hopefully the weather holds suit and holds off so we can get that tournament in, because that is a good event. And, District 2 loves their baseball, man. I tell you what, it is a special place between Lewiston and, Orofino having one of the nicest facilities in the state for any classification, and, all the smaller communities scattered throughout Latah, Lewis, Idaho counties, Nez Perce County. Like, there's just great baseball in that region, and so many great players have come out of there. And so it's great to see kind of a showcase event take place for those kids.
Yeah, I'll tell you, Ryan, you talked about the weather. Alan Hutchins, the athletic director at Clearwater Valley, he's a good AD, smart guy. He moved the tournament up a day. It was supposed to be Friday and Saturday. Instead, it'll be Thursday and Friday. So they get all those games in before the bad weather arrives. So we're looking forward to that.
Smart man.
For sure. We also had the Asotin baseball tournament this past weekend over there, hosted by the Asotin Panthers in Washington. Orofino went over and cleaned up. They beat Colton 44-0. They beat Genesee 33-0. They only beat Northwest Christian 10-2. Maniacs are 6-0 to start the year. Those 3 tournament wins, coupled with a season opening 3-game sweep of Bonners Ferry in Orofino as well. And Bonners Ferry is a good baseball program. So Orofino, yes, Orofino is 6-0. Grangeville is off to a 3-0 start as well. Scaggs, they have beaten Priest River twice, and they got St. Mary's in an early conference game also.
Yeah, no, this conference is going to be pretty tough. St. Mary's got a split yesterday with Timberlake. And they got their offense was rolling in that first game too with the Timberlake game. They got 10 runs in the second game, but in the first one they got, the battery, their lineups their batting was just tearing it up. I think Jackson Nantel had 3 hits. They got a homer out of their lineup as well. I think a couple doubles and a triple. So the bats were on in the first game for the Lumberjacks. And then you look at Orofino, and I said it's going to be a special group this year. They've got pitching, they've got hitting. They're checking all the boxes. That Maniac team is for real. And I know Perry Black, the head coach at Asotin, that put on that tournament. And, he was talking, I was like, man, that we invited them thinking that it was going to be competitive. We didn't know it was going to be that. And so, Northwest Christian, the team that Orofino beat, that's a pretty good baseball team in the state of Washington too. And they just put the bootstraps to that tournament. That was an impressive showing by the Maniacs.
Yep. And then Orofino also playing for a higher purpose this year as well, right? Yep. Drew Hanna, their best pitcher, and of course, tragically passed away in a car accident right before the start of the school year back in August, and they're still feeling the effect. It's something that I don't know you ever recover from. You just recover a little more each day, but they are still kind of taking it one day at a time over in Orofino, and so playing for a higher purpose this baseball season as well. 5A Scaggs, Lewiston and Lake City split an early season doubleheader. Coeur d'Alene and Sandpoint split an early season doubleheader. Those are all conference games. Post Falls had a nice sweep to start the year of Sandpoint, so they're 2-0. They're all heading south this weekend. Coeur d'Alene and Lewiston and Lake City are all going to play at it's called the Spring Break Tournament. They haven't come up with a good name for it yet. It's hosted by Rocky Mountain High School, and it's for 5A teams only. It's Highland and Rocky and Hawaii and these teams from the north. Post Falls, very stuffy. Post Falls, meanwhile, is going to compete at the Bucks Bags tournament, which has been happening in Boise forever. And that is going to bring 40 teams 3A up to 5A, competing at a variety of venues around the Treasure Valley. But all 4 of the 5A teams in like Sandpoint, Moscow, Lakeland, they're all heading south this weekend.
Yep. Smart move too, because the weather's going to stink up here on Saturday. So they made a wise choice getting out of the area. But yeah, no, I mean, I look at the conference, it's been pretty balanced thus far. I mean, you're seeing the 4As and 5As splitting. You know, the one thing I was impressed, Lewiston, you know, they beat Clarkston at Harris Field. That was a cool event that took place. I mean, I think it was 2 weeks ago now, or a week and a half ago. But you know, the pitching for the Bengals has been on, and that's been the impressive feat for Lewiston so far. You know, you get good pitching and good defense behind you, you're going to find yourself in a heck of a lot of ball games. I don't know if, you know, the run production is going to have to probably tick up a little bit, but they've been on fairly early, at least in those 2 facets of the game. So I could see Lewiston having quite a bit of success this year. It's going to come down. I mean, the conference, I believe, is truly wide open. I mean, it really realistically is. All 4 teams are going to be super competitive, I think, against each other. We saw Lake City come on late last year. So yeah, 5A baseball lining well in District 1 and 2.
Yep. And softball action heating up as well. There have been a flurry of no-hitters so far this year, Scaggs. We talked about when Orofino Grangeville beat St. Mary's. Sam Lindsley threw a no-hitter for the Bulldogs in that win. 11 strikeouts, only 1 walk. Otherwise, you know, would have been a perfect game. Prairie, they had 2 pitchers combine on a no-hitter. Matt Bearlocker and Casey Forsman combined to throw a no-hitter. We had a 1-hitter thrown by Kendra Meyer for Genesee in a 19-1 win over Lapway on the softball diamond. The pitching is always ahead of the hitting, but it seems especially so this year.
Yeah, and I think that just, you know, you look at the kids that are playing in the you know, summer leagues and stuff like that, you're going to see the more opportunity to throw the ball. They're just going to get better, and they're going to be able to hone their skill. But yeah, I mean, I think pitching, there's no shortage of solid pitching in North Idaho, and that's going to continue to be kind of the name of the game. We've seen it for the last few years, and excuse me, it's definitely not going anywhere anytime soon. That's for sure, with some of the arms that we've got around here. So yeah.
All right, I got the combined no-hitter I was talking about for Prairie. And this is going to be funny. I was doing a search in the news archives on Google, because I know there's been so many. So I just typed in, you know, North Idaho no-hitter. And so it showed this headline from the Lewiston Tribune, you know, Prairie pitchers throw combined no-hitter. And it said 3 days ago. And I was like, oh yeah, okay. I clicked on the link. It's from 2003. Oh man. And the people in Prairie are gonna go, yeah, this guy's an idiot. Those guys haven't played for us.
Bearlocker's got like a wife and kids now.
20 years. Oh, I'm a noob still. I'm such a noob.
That's funny. I'll have to tell Trevin that one. Pixley down there at the Tribune, he'll get a kick out of that.
What the heck, Google? Why did it said 3 days ago, and then you click the link and it says 2003? Yikes. All right. Moving on, other softball developments here in the early going. We had all of our 5A, 4A North Idaho teams go over to the Richland Mixer in the Tri-Cities in Washington this past week. Almost everybody, you know, took it on the chin. I mean, there's some really good, they played some really outstanding competition. How good was the competition? Here's all you need to know. Skyview is the premier softball program in 4A in Idaho, right? The Skyview Hawks down there in Nampa. And they came up for that tournament because they knew they were going to see good competition, and they took it on the chin a little bit as well. So early season results for our 5A, 4A softball teams, I wouldn't read too much into it. We did have Moscow and Post Falls split a doubleheader yesterday. And otherwise, I think the big softball storyline is a definite changing of the guard in 2A softball, where St. Mary's, after so many years of dominance, Scaggs, I think They're off to an 0-5 start overall. They're 0-1 in conference. They dropped their conference opener to Grangeville. To me, it's going to be maybe a changing of the guard this year in the 2A CIL.
Yeah, no, I definitely would agree with that. And I mean, you get kind of generational pitcher that they've had for the last few years. It definitely stings a little bit when you lose that. But also, obviously, too, like there was the offensive prowess with that too. But the CIL is I think the balance is a little bit better this year. But it's yet to be seen. I mean, it's all kind of I don't want to say crapshoot because I don't ever want to count anybody out, but you never know that they could find their stride and get back in the mix. But you look at the balance between Grangeville, Orfino, Priest River. There's Kellogg teams there that can win night in and night out. So it's going to be, I think, a little bit more balanced league, I think, than we've seen in years past.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see as that all progresses throughout the year. Kellogg yet to play a game still in softball, so
they were probably shoveling snow last week. So
yeah, no doubt. Okay, track and field. We had the Sweeney Invite last week. That's kind of one of the bigger meets of the year right out of the gates. We had some really impressive performances just when you look at the statewide track and field leaderboard, Ryan. On the girls' side, you have two throwers leading the way from North Idaho statewide. Ivy Smith of Sandpoint, no surprise there. She won the shot put last year at the 4A state meet. She's already thrown 42 feet 1 inch at the Bonners Ferry Invite this year. That's the top throw in the state. How about this, though? The top discus throw in the state for girls track and field right now belongs to sophomore Sage Elvin from Prairie, 135 feet 11 inches at the small schools invite. How cool is that? Someone from Prairie leading an event statewide.
Letting it fly. That's pretty awesome. And I'll have to get the distance, I think, from the track meet last night at Lakeland. I wouldn't be surprised if the gal from Sandpoint beat that. They haven't updated it yet, but we'll see. Because I thought that she may have had a longer distance last night, but I could be wrong. But there's been some crazy times and distances that have gone off so far earlier this year, and I love to see the smaller school athletes. I mean, you get a chance to get good coaching in the off season and everything, and I mean it's athletes are going to be athletes. They're going to show up whether they're at 1A D1 or they're at 5A. They're going to do their thing, and pretty awesome to see an athlete from Prairie right now leading all state distances in the discus. That's pretty awesome, especially a sophomore. That's crazy.
Yeah, that was at the small schools invite hosted by Camii last week. The Prairie girls won the team title going away, 241 points. Camii was second at 120. And the Prairie boys made it a clean sweep. Prairie got 205 total points. Camii again was second at 104. So watch out for the Prairie Pirates on the track this year.
Well, and I'll say this too, going to the small school, I mean, Porter Whipple's got the third best shot put for boys in the state of Idaho right now too. I mean, Porter from Camii at 52.7.5. That's, I mean, you talk about distances and everything else, Porter's right in the mix as well. So that's pretty cool to see.
Yeah. And then, if we focus on the boys side, Kobe Cameron from Post Falls has the best 400 time, ran a 50.92 at the Sweeney Invite. He's top 3 in the 200.
Yeah.
Is that right, Scaggs?
He's the anchor on that 4x4 team that's got the number 1 time in the state too at 3:29.64. McLean, Genatone, McCracken, and Cameron, part of that group that they ran that at the Sweeney Invite down in Lewiston as well.
Those are all names we've heard from other sports at Post Falls High.
Well,
for sure.
Trenton McLean's leading the state in the high jump. So, I mean, there's track is alive and well right now in North Idaho.
Yeah, Trenton McLean cleared 6 feet 6 inches. That's coming out hot out of the gate in the high jump at the start of the year. So way to go, fellas and ladies. Keep up the good work. This spring on IdahoSports.com, Scaggs, Tuesdays are for track and field. We are going to have Marlo Herford, the best track and field and cross-country rider in the state of Idaho, bar none. She knows the ins and outs of the sport, and the coaches like nobody else. She is going to bring her track and field notebook on Tuesdays on IdahoSports.com and just kind of update statewide things she's noticed, the big storylines. We started it yesterday with our statewide track and field season preview, and you can read that right now at IdahoSports.com. So we're off and running, literally.
Yeah, we got a whole bunch of stuff, going on. And I mean, spring sports is just a crazy time of year. You got tennis, which we on the East Idaho Prepcast have the luxury of having tennis guru, and he'll be a state Hall of Fame tennis coach, Sean Kane. Luckily, every week that he throws nuggets out there, and he's telling me, Sandpoint and tennis, it's got a real shot at winning girls 4A this year. So that was a kind of nice nugget from him. So Sandpoint's going to be legit in girls tennis, and so yeah, Sean kind of throwing me some little nuggets out there. They got a really good team, and they could contend for a title in girls singles. So pretty cool.
Yeah, it's Sandpoint's got a really good tennis program. They have been the premier team in North Idaho for some time. Kent Anderson, the head tennis coach, does great.
He's
job.
Awesome. Yeah, and he's so great. And I got a chance. Obviously, I coached at Lakeland for a few years, and I got to know Kent as a colleague, and just the job he does with that program. And he puts in the time with the kids, and they just love, and they turn out like they just love playing for him. But he's able to get enough numbers, and you start getting cream rising to the top. And this year could be a really special group for him, especially on the girls' side.
That would be really cool if Sandpoint could win a state title, because it's almost impossible, because North Idaho, they just don't get, and really from East Idaho too. It is almost impossible now with the way the leagues are and bids. You gotta be perfect and run the table. Yep. And so that would be cool. I would be all for that, because otherwise it's going to be like, oh, Bishop Kelly again. Great.
Well, realistically, I mean, and you look at there's a huge tournament going on this weekend in Lewiston and Clarkston. They're hosting a massive tennis tournament. There's going to be a bunch of schools from the Boise area, schools from North Idaho, and obviously from the Washington side of the border. But they got 3 different locations they'll be playing there. I think maybe 4 if you throw in the indoor facility at LCSC too. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes. But that's a huge tennis tournament that happens down there, and there's going to be a lot of high level play down there.
Yeah, it'll be cool for sure. So, all right. As we get through the spring sports season, and there are stories, athletes, coaches that you want us to highlight here on the North Idaho Prepcast, drop us a line, Brandon at IdahoSports.com, or you can find Ryan on X at Idaho Game Night. It's going to be a lot of fun as we hit the ground running here for the spring sports season.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to it. And in the next couple of weeks, we got a big event that we get to be a part of too, which is going to be awesome. Something that's kind of out of the ordinary for us, which will be pretty neat at Idaho Sports, with being a part of the Idaho Athletic Hall of Fame, and being able to be a part of that event is going to be super neat too. Yeah,
the North Idaho Athletic Hall of Fame banquet is coming up April 6th. I want to double check that date. Yeah, April 6th. It's, of course, held at the Coeur d'Alene Resort up here in Coeur d'Alene. But not everybody can go, right? Seating is limited. And so IdahoSports.com is proud to be able to broadcast a live stream of the awards ceremony this year. It's something we haven't done before at IdahoSports.com, but I think it's going to go over pretty well. So. Yeah, it's going to be awesome. And they got, the Hall of Fame. They obviously have the all North Idaho teams that they put together and athletes of the year and stuff. But they also do the Hall of Fame. And this year they have, some names that'll be pretty recognizable. Randy Mueller, who is from St. Mary's, Jackie Ross Maddox, who ran track at the University of Idaho, and then a couple of District 1 name and a District 2 name, pretty recognizable. Dara Eggers from Deary is entering the Hall of Fame, and official extraordinaire in District 1, just a great guy, Bill Bopp, is getting inducted into the Hall of Fame as well. So pretty cool event. It's going to be neat, and I'm glad that we're able to be able to host that here on IdahoSports.com. And I didn't know that Randy Mueller was from St. Mary's. I think of him as, longtime NFL GM, right? Front off, Seahawks, Dolphins, Chargers. So that's going to be cool. And then did I see that Mark Schlereth is the guest speaker this year?
Yeah,
Stink.
So Stink is the keynote speaker, and it's gonna be great. I mean, Dennis Patchen's gonna be the MC of the event for the night, but it's gonna be an awesome event. I mean, if you want more information, you can go to nihof.org, check it out, and we're gonna be able to broadcast it right here on IdahoSports.com. It's gonna be pretty neat night.
Yep. More details to follow. So,
yeah.
All right. Enjoy the competition this weekend, everybody. Enjoy spring break as well. I don't have kids, Ryan. It is still spring break, right?
It starts. Idaho. I mean, conferences are Friday, so technically it doesn't start till Monday, but it springs here. Like
mentally, I mean, especially with March Madness starting tomorrow, mentally I'm on spring break. I'm laying it out there.
Checked out. I got the TV in my office now. I'm like ready to kind of triple screen it. So yeah, we're ready.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Well, enjoy spring break, everybody. Thanks for tuning into the North Idaho Prepcast. We'll see you back here next week. For Ryan Scaggs, I'm Brandon Baney. Thanks for tuning in on IdahoSports.com.